Essentially, what the ICRU says it's done, it's, first of all, is to create the framework. The legal, the institutional framework, that's absolutely very, very key. We have also done significant stakeholder consultations, to build the support, because people can be very negative about PPPs because they come from the point of losers and winners, particularly those who did traditional procurement and had the power to award contracts. I think it's something that's taken out of them. To build the capacity, to build the stakeholders, we did the stakeholder to the extent that we have developed an environmental social management framework, a resettlement policy framework, so that, from the point of view of safeguards, we're covering all the stakeholders. We're also doing capacity building, because for us, PPPs can stand for preparation, 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 to prepare everybody. So we're building, building that capacity. We're also working on long-term funding, because that's pretty very clear. I mean, you're moving away from 5-year contracts, 20 years, 35 years. We've got a VGF, a viability gap fund, where you can take in government money and plug bankability gaps. We also have a financial intermediary loan, which we're working with the World Bank, to put in there so that, because the capital market in Nigeria is not very deep, to get you, long-term financing. Then we're also working with, credible international project sponsors, like the IPFA, which you had, don't work with you with the World Bank and a series of other people. I probably just want to show some of the slides I brought along here. I mean, Nigeria is at the center of the world. I mean, you're absolutely right. If Nigeria doesn't succeed, it's a bit of a problem. Then, I mean, that's what our infrastructure looks like now. So let me not be, let me not fool ourselves. We want to move, to have our own NGV. That's also, we want to move our roads away from there, to world-class, roads. And you can see what the gap is, from a funding point of view. It's really very, very huge. And the budgetary, cannot support it. So there's absolutely a need for us to sort of catalyze, private financing. So what we have done, that's a framework. I've talked about it, the ICRC Act, the national policy. But the key thing there is that there is investment protection. Section 11 of the Act is very, very clear, no arbitrary. So we're very careful when we get into contracts, because we know that once we get in, we're locked in and it's difficult for us to get out. Well, that's the national policy framework we have, that provides, the cradle to grave management framework for PPPs and, how we collaborate with stakeholders, capacity building and all that stuff. Then this is also the ICRC, what we do. We're a resource center. We do so well ahead of time. We've looked at, because we've spoken to people, we found out that contract management is a key issue. So we have a contract compliance center. And if you look at what this is what the structure of the ICRC is like. So you got a resource center, which I heard is a midwife to help the government, prepare, because the problem is not the lack of projects or lack of money, it's the lack of properly prepared projects. So our focus is to make sure that projects are properly prepared. So that's what the resource center does. The contract compliance center is there like a marriage counselor, to make sure that once the marriage is done, the guys don't get into a big fight. Then we've established a framework where we go through a proper development phase, a procurement phase with an outline business case. So once you get something out to the market, it's properly prepared, it's bankable, and it's ready to roll. And what's our pipeline of projects like? Our pipeline goes from the power sector to transport up to, the social. On the power, essentially, it's the hydros. On the power sector, because of water rights, we cannot privatize our hydro plants. We want to concession them, and we're doing the preparation. They will soon come to market. Also, the transmission company of Nigeria, there's a need for significant investment. We want to build a super grid to wheel power around the country. The risk is very high for any private person. So what we want to do is to go into a concession, management contract, and then build confidence and move along. Can you help me go to the next slide, please? Yeah, okay, on the road side. Oops. On the roads, we're working with international companies like Lavalin and Roughton, to do, outline, pre-feasibility studies so that we can take these roads to market. These are major arterial roads in the country. We're also looking at our roads, which are not in very bad condition, where we want to do a maintenance, operate, transfer kind of transaction. Then on the railway, our narrow gauge railway, we are working on that. We're also working on our ports. We're working on inland, waterway ports. That's what the railway would look like when we concession it. On the airport, we're remodeling, and after remodeling, we will concession on operate and maintain basis because of the huge investment required. This is a very interesting one. Our Federal Capital Territory, it's got 72 districts. Only 2 of it has been developed because of infrastructure. And I just want to announce that on Thursday, last week, we just signed the contract for the first of them. It's a small, so you got all these headline things we're doing. We also got underlying things we're doing to build, confidence. The $50 million PPP project that we've signed for the Katankwe district. And that should be, that's very exciting for us. So you can look at what we're doing in the Federal Capital Territory, the water works, the light railway, the urban infrastructure, the Katankwe model. Next slide, please. So we're going to build a world-class military hospital, and it's interesting that the Lesotho Minister of Health is here, who's also helped us with the ideas of what they've done in Lesotho. I certainly believe that we can transform Nigeria using PPPs. And why do I say that? This is Dubai in 1990. This is the same street in 2003. Anybody who comes to Lagos knows Oshodi. This was Oshodi was like in 2008. This is what it looks like today. In 1 year, night and day, that's very rapid transformation. That's the airport in Lagos. It's a concession. It's our best airport for now. That's also what the airport looks like. So it just demonstrates that very rapidly, you can have these transformations happen. Even the Niger Delta, which people think about, it could be like Cancun. It's the largest freshwater delta in the world. We believe that, catalyzing private resources, we can transform the Niger Delta. PPPs, we believe, is what would, be the game changer for Nigeria by catalyzing private efforts. That's a passion we in ICRC have, and we believe that we can do that and serve as a focal point and a hub for the sub-region to spread expertise in terms of PPPs. Thank you very much.
Doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.